Well, today I'm working on the TL1000, doing brake calipers, chain and sprockets, finding some really lovely stuff in here. So let's get into it. So I decided to swap the calipers that were on the front that were seized and put the used ones on. I have not bled them yet. I'm just going to do a mock-up for now because I need to figure out how many bolts am I missing. I have no caliper bolts. I have no fender bolts. Well, I got one. I need all the bolts to mount all the upper fairing and gauges and stuff, but I have a whole nother set of gauges that are completely one unit with everything. That one's missing a lot of the brackets. So I'm going to do a mock-up, get this thing to a point of, hey, I need to order all the bolts. I know I need all the bolts for the bodywork, and I keep trying to find some company that has a complete kit with all of those, but they don't have very good reviews. They look like they're ripping people off online. So I'm probably going to have to order all the original ones. And I just cut the chain off so that we can get rid of these ugly old worn out sprockets. Oh yeah, it's nice in there, eh? Got myself a real jalopy that I just can't help, but I love this thing. So I'm just gonna clean all that out, rip the front sprocket off, and put the new one on. I have to pull the wheel off to put the rear one on, and then we can put a chain on this thing. And it turns out the rear caliper is completely seized too. So I just sprayed it with fluid film. Hopefully that'll soak and free it up. And I think I have a rear rebuild kit for it. So we might get lucky there because parts are extremely hard to find right now, especially for a TL1000. And I'm trying to avoid buying all new brake calipers because they're really expensive for the aftermarket ones. So just want to get it together for now, make it a mobile running, driving bike and see what it's like. We are apart. Now this bike has been hanging around by the looks of things for a lot of years. And it came from Vancouver Island, so there's a lot of saltwater corrosion on it, which means I got a whole lot of cleaning up to do on this thing. Like these brackets. Those are going to be very hard to find. We may have to make a new set of brackets. I mean, they're fine for now, they'll work. But for what I want to do with this bike, I want it to be absolutely beautiful. So, now I get to take this all apart. So we are apart. And it didn't look like that when I pulled it apart. I had to blow it out with the air gun because it looked like that everywhere. Pretty much every square inch of this bike looks like that. But I wiped it all down. The bearings actually feel good. I'm surprised. I'm happy about that. I'm gonna have to pull the bearings out eventually when I get these wheels done anyways. And we have, I don't even know what it is. Don't really care. Because I decided to go with something a little more fun. In case you haven't been watching. We're going with I believe 42 is what it was. Yep, 42 tooth. I thought I might have a go at doing wheelies again when I get this thing together. It's been a while. It's been about 10 years since I even worked on a motorcycle. Wheelies sound really fun right now. So we are cleaned up. Just used some brake cleaner. Used almost a whole can of brake cleaner just to clean that one part. And a wee little bit of corrosion from the salt water. So that'll go on my list of bolts to order, and who knows how long bolts are going to take to get. So I'll just keep playing around with it till I get what I need. But for now, let's put it back together. Now, before I continue this, I just want to throw out there, I'm not a licensed mechanic of anything. I'm not a licensed anything. I'm just a class 1 truck driver. That's my certification that I hold these days. But I did spend almost 13 years as a parts guy in sales, working in the motorcycle shops and industry. And I cannot tell you how important it is to keep an eye on your chain and sprockets. When your chain looks like this, hang on, let me get a hold of this thing. When your chain looks like that, and you have a customer come in who's missing a leg because his chain was in that condition and it snapped and took out half of his engine case or took out his leg, and I've seen both as a parts and service manager. Do not take the chance. This is actually something that really scares me because I saw it so many times. I actually saw dirt bikes come in with half of the case missing, and they wanted us to weld it back together because they were too cheap to buy a chain and sprocket. So if you're too busy going to the movies and eating out to put a chain and sprockets on your bike, maybe you shouldn't be riding a bike. Just had to throw that out there. But we're together, cleaned all the bolts up on the wire wheel. Let's slam this thing together, and yes, cleaned all the inside, have to lube the shaft. But the more I do, the more, and clean as I go, the better this thing will get. And then I feel better and safer about riding it. So let's put it together. So we have new chain and sprockets installed. Haha, yeehaw. I had no idea I was getting a gold chain when I ordered it. I just ordered a decent chain and sprockets. Oh well, we'll figure that out later. I did notice that when the bike was obviously crashed and the exhaust pipe actually wore down the swing arm a little bit somehow. Not quite sure how that would have happened since the whole can and everything is here, so it couldn't have touched the road. But it's worn it down significantly. Very noticeable anyway. I guess we're gonna sand and polish that. So next stage is calipers and bolts are definitely going to hold me up for a little bit. So we'll let that one soak and see what happens. See if we can revive that one. And I think next we'll do the gauge swap because there's a lot of plugins I gotta figure out all down here I have to deal with. I'm sure they're not difficult. I just have a tough time feeding it all through there and getting my hands in there with all the wires. And it turns out that we got another project coming in, and it is a motorcycle. So I landed a motorcycle build that I was not expecting. So we will go and see that in one of the next videos too. For now, all I got is this. This is the only thing I can start up right now that makes noise. Haha, don't you just love it? That is one noisy fuel pump in that thing. But we're not talking about that because this is the motorcycle channel. So thanks for watching, you guys. I'll try and start upping the videos because I'm really wanting to work on more motorcycles lately. Makes me happy. These things are breaking my body up.